crying out my tears in a testimony. Oh, you meant for a queen, and then so unclean. My alabaster box.
I came not with pride, but with pain, not with polish, but with tears. I guess the biggest part for me was that was his training ground, where everybody else that was there was trained for the battle that he was about to fight. Him fighting in his ministry that had nothing to do with what he was about to do trained him for that battle. So the battle that he fought when no one was looking, the battle that he fought in that private space where he just was doing what he was supposed to do as a shepherd, like prepared him exactly for what God wanted him to do. And in his obedience, he walked into that purpose unknowingly.
You know what's crazy is that when we think of our destiny with God, sometimes we want to control how the outcome should come up. We want to say, hey, God, when I get to destiny, this is how things gonna be, but not knowing that God has a different design for us. So think about it. This young boy doing what he always done, being a shepherd. That's what he was created to do because of his father's responsibility, and they shamed him because he had a baby by a different woman, but a woman that believed in God. But he hid her. He hid David. David was hidden in the sheep. So people will look at it, oh, he was called to be a shepherd. But if we get to the details, he was hidden. But God designed it for it to be preparation. And sometimes we get mad at how people push us to the side and don't know that was a part of God's design to prepare us. Because preparation is not always obvious. People got a system of how it should go, but God got a design of how he wants it to go. So think about this. So he minding his business. He gets to get things to eat and work it out and not knowing, like you said, the test of his life to seek something greater was at the moment of an unexpected thing. And sometimes when unexpected things come our way, we let the value of the problem take advantage of how we think. And that's why we get anxiety and depressed, not knowing this was a part of my destiny. To, if I can conquer this, I can conquer anything.
That's the attitude he had too. That's exactly how he said it. Like, I fought a lion and the bear. And y'all standing here for 40 days, y'all let this man talk reckless about God. You know, he ain't out here talking reckless. He asked multiple people, like, what's the reward? Like, he had to be sure. And just his confidence in that got him an audience with the king. You know, like,
see, watch this. So let's look at it. So again, if a person that's been abused and you made it out, you gotta use that power. Not against you,
right,
for you. If you've been slandered, you've been pushed to the side, you've been stomped on, you gotta use that power because you can say, always say, just like David, you don't know what I've been through. So whatever this is, because sometimes whatever looks big is not greater than what you've been through.
Right.
That lion, that bear, and when he viewed the giant, even though the giant was tall and thick in stature, it did not have the aggression and the strategic fighting skills a lion and a bear. Do you know what the technique that lions use to kill?
Oh my God. I went and looked it up I went and looked it up. I said, oh my goodness. Because those are two different battles. A battle with a lion and a battle with a bear is two different things, because a lion is going to fight you at your level. A bear is going to stand up. Those type of Siberian bears get to be 8 feet tall. And he was a boy. Lions go for the neck of their prey. where bears will maul you with their hands. So it was two different battles. It was two different battles. And I said, oh my goodness. And I thought about it when he said he would go retrieve the lamb. He would go retrieve the sheep. And when you think about how they attack the prey, the sheep he got from the lion may not have survived, but he still had to defend it. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And then fight for his life on top of for a dead lamb that he had to take back. I said, but it prepared him to know how fast he needed to move next time, because the lion's gonna snatch it by its neck and drag it. The bear is gonna maul it first, and it's gonna eat it where it stays at. So he'll have to chase the lion, but he'll have to walk to the where the bear is. So it's two different battles.
It also gives us a foreshadow of Christ, how he deals with us. No matter what, we can be halfway there, he's still gonna get us. There's no load there too low for him to come and get us out.
Yeah.
There's no kind of enemy that he won't fight for us. And then we lose sight of that. We all are caught up between the lion and the bear. We all deal with it, but it's an outcome. We can predict the outcome by just trusting God. We can predict the outcome by adjusting our feelings in our heart. We can predict the outcome that when we deal with something greater, don't forget what you came out of. Because sometimes the first fear of what we've been through and we made it, we always learn how to fear the next thing. If you can find the confidence in your accomplishment of coming out and utilize that power to deal with your next enemy. Because listen, the giant was a false enemy, but the bear was the test and the lion. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It didn't take David long to size that thing up.
Yeah.
To kill it. But it took him time to deal with the lion and the bear. But he had more reason. He had more reason to fight for his life when he was dealing with what he was called to do, is to protect the sheep.
Yeah.
And not leave them alone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we can just look at things in a different perspective, change our idea, change our heart posture with it, then we can accomplish more. Because guess what? He brought us out of some stuff that we should have never made of. If you you ever saw somebody, I remember people getting shot up 10 and 15 times, but yet they still had their breath. They pulled through it. Come on. If we can take our last breath to come out of something that somebody should have never came out of.
Because he shouldn't have survived those.
He shouldn't have survived.
He shouldn't. And it even talked about how he left someone else to tend the sheep. Because usually, if you're going to retrieve a sheep, you're taking somebody with you because you need that animal distracted while you attack them. He didn't take nobody with him. So realistically, he shouldn't have won the battle. He shouldn't have won his fight with either one, because he didn't have the help that naturally we would need to win it. And I was just like, this is how you know it was divine, because he beat the odds. So if we're in these battles and we're beating odds and we come out with no confidence for the next thing, like, where are we really putting our trust? Are we thinking that this is on our own strength? Are we saying, oh God, you saved me from that, but not taking that as an example that say, if I can survive this, then the next thing that comes, I'm not about to, like, freak out and fall out and, oh my gosh, this is happening. My world is crashing down around me, because I'm going to remember that I just, like, survived the battle with a daggone bear. Like,
something else that's interesting to me in the story, that even though he conquered the lion and bear, the Bible did not allow his scars to validate him. He allowed the experience to. Because sometimes we wear our scars to validate who we are and where we're going.
Yes.
And if we can stop trying to validate our scars to identify that it did happen, and just trust God, I've been through it. Because I've been through it doesn't mean that you got to prove that you've been through it. Because a lot of people show their scars versus showing their experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, let me show you my scars versus just telling the experience.
Yeah.
Because his experience wasn't necessary till he was challenged the next time. Did his brothers know he fought a lion and bear?
No.
You hear what I'm saying? Do I have to make the announcement?
Right.
But when another trouble comes, remember, it was a silent thing between him and God. You don't know. He 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 don't know.
Right.
I just fought. You know what I'm saying? That's how we got to take that power that we have.
Mm-hmm.
When we deal with another demon, oh, you must not know. When we have that power,
Yeah.
we got to stop it trying to explain to people of what we conquered. Because some things that we conquered gotta be for the self, gotta be for the individual. It gotta be private. It gotta be kept in confidence. Because sometimes that's our battery, that's our life source. Whatever God lets us conquer, some things are your life source. So watch this. Some things are testimony, and some things need to be remain as your life source.
Oh, let me tell you something. That's so good because I just was telling Erica that everybody can't know every part of your testimony because they won't be able to handle it. And she was like, I can't stand the fact that you have to like make yourself seem human for people to accept you. I said, I don't, and I'm not gonna do it anymore.
Mhm.
I'm not going to do it anymore. I was like, because when the Lord sent them to speak a word, He didn't tell them to qualify themselves first. He told them to go and say what they had to say.
Mhm.
It's certain times where they had to say why they were qualified, like in this instance, but that wasn't an every time thing. Your silent battles were your silent battles. I said, and his brother tried to downplay his responsibilities,
Mhm.
like you tending a little bit of sheep, like not realizing how big that responsibility was because it prepared him for what you couldn't do.
That's right.
So,
That's
and I'm
right.
just like, if I'm gonna do this walk,
Mhm.
if I am going to like do it fully and trusting him, just completely leaning on him, then I have to get into a place where I can't tell everybody everything that he's doing because some of that stuff got to be just between us because it will reveal where my strength lies and the devil will know where to attack me you know but if I keep those things, because just like you said, some things are testimonies, but those things that reveal where my weak points are that don't necessarily need to be
Mhm.
explained or revealed, I can keep that and I can make it a strength instead of it being a weakness because it's between me and God.
The other thing I'm thinking too, when when he made the announcement that I'll fight this devil, when you have confidence in what God has given you strength to do,
Mm-hmm.
be careful who advise you on how to operate in the destruction that you're about to place on this man. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because what was weakening him, and he noticed that, take my armor. You need to do it like this. Here's this sword. Use this sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
And watch this. Now I know some stories depict that it was too big, it was too heavy, but you got to remember David. David was a well fit man. As a young man dealing with sheep, come on, he had to carry them sheep. He had to walk them things. He had to be fit. So it's not that it was just too much of anything. It was not the right tool or the advice that he needed to conquer it. If you're going to conquer another enemy,
Mm-hmm.
find supporters, but not just advisors. Come on, wait a minute.
Oh.
Because sometimes some battles you don't need to be advised how to do. You need to be supported to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to compartmentalize your thoughts on how
Mm.
you move into different areas in your life when it's time to conquer. Because too much conversation may bring distraction.
Right. You know, you said something that was so good. So I went back and I read the chapter before, and it was talking about how he met David before when he was playing the harp for him, right? And it said that he basically like found favor with David, and David became his armor bearer. So the same armor that he told David to put on, David was used to handling. He knew the weight of it. He understood how to handle all of that he had.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it wasn't right. And then I think about, okay, so because my mind is like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm into literary devices and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So after he kills Goliath, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saul asks Abner, is that his name, Abner?
Mm-hmm.
The leader of the army,
Mm-hmm.
who David was and who his family was. But I didn't understand that because I was just like, he just was with you. you know, he just was with you. So how you don't know who this is? So then I thought about it and I was like, literarily, anytime a character has a personality change due to some sort of opposition, they reintroduce the character. So I was just like, oh my God. So when he went into this battle and he asked who his family was again, they reintroduced the character. And not as in who David was, but who David was.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, so this is why when we go through those silent battles and people don't know that we're going through silent battles, when we face opposition and we overcome it, we got to be reintroduced to these people because we're not who went in that battle. We came out a completely different person with a completely different look and everything. And I was just like, wow, like this is crazy.
We forget when we walk in strength, when we walk in power, people will not recognize us. For instance, again, with Jesus Christ, when he was beaten and he was walking through, they could not recognize the Jesus they grew up with.
Yeah.
So how can he endure all that? So my life walk compared to my assigned walk is two different things. Because now you know how to say it come from faith to faith and to glory to glory. It changes your posture.
Yes.
It changes your view. And so when we look at David, once he took on that thing, the power in which he used to conquer, even though it was simple, was not recognizable because Saul probably paid it no more attention. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who this guy? Who killed Goliath? Like
Right.
David. You know what I mean? Who killed Goliath? People can spend thousands of years with you.
Yeah.
But when you do something great, they could not recognize that was you. You what?
Yeah.
Anybody seen you change like you don't have an attitude no more? You not talking back? What? No. And they test your change.
Yeah.
So we forget we are more than conquerors.
Yeah.
We are overcomers through Christ. There's so much more about us that we have not digged into. That's why today we talk about discovery. It's important that you discover who you are because you are more. There is more. There is more through you. There's more about you don't know. And we are failing because we have never tested what was in us. You don't know what's in your sauce. There's more. You don't just look like your mom. You don't just do things like your dad. There's more. There's something that is hidden in you that you got to discover. And sometimes it don't come out until pressure is applied.
And that's what those private battles do. They produce the oil. Everybody they think that you just wake up one day and you just so anointed and you're able to go forth. I'm just like looking in just the 3 years. I was praying and I said, Lord, I am unrecognizable to myself. Like I literally was crying because I couldn't understand how you shifted me so drastically in this short amount of time to where I'm literally having an identity crisis in you because I can't trust myself anymore because I don't know how I'm going to react. And not because it's a bad thing, because I'm not reacting how I think I should act. Because in me tells me that if you wrong me, you about to hear my mouth. But the me that I became, if you wrong me, I'm sitting in the silence because now I see that I'm not wrestling against you. So I'm praying for you while you wronging me.
You know what's funny that you said we're having a conversation about a mutual pastor that we know, and they said, "Wow, she's incredible. She's unrecognizable. I knew it was something there, but whoa." It only says that sometimes people underestimate us in our development and has no investment for our change.
Yeah.
And so, but we have to do the same thing. We got to make sure that we don't underestimate who we are,
Right.
so that we can respect who God is making us to become. Like embrace this new joy, embrace this ability to conquer things, embrace this thing. If not, we will say again, that lion and that bear shouldn't have been there, but it should have been there because we were close to its inhabitation. With everything, anything that's vulnerable, they're always going to be a predator. And remember, like you got to learn to deal with it, expect it or not. Can you conquer the thing? And a lot of things that we attack us want to see if they can demean and put us down. What would you do when your next challenge is someone that's trying to stand in your face and see who you are?
Mm-hmm.
Can you conquer that thing? Because some people in this world got lying spirits, ain't got bad spirits. You know what I'm saying? And they'll try to hover over you and try to have a conversation face to face and destroy you. But what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to even train yourself not to return to the inhabitation that you were before. Don't go in the fetal position no more. Show these people what you have been through and what you come out of. Come on now. Not only the people, the stuff that you agreed to, the things you shook hands on,
Yeah.
that little thing that makes you comfortable when you are in distress. Come on. Conquer those things. The little, the bad, the ugly, all of them.
Right.
Put a mark in the ground.
I think about like you know how like people mark their kids' growth on a wall each year. They put a new mark. I'm like, Lord, my marks is growing together. I can't even see the difference. It's just a black line going up the wall now. And I'm excited, but I had to learn that I can't look on my what I consider a small battle. I can't look on it and be disgusted with it because it didn't have the outcome that I thought. Because I thought about it like he didn't come out those battles without scars. He got scratched up, he got bit on, like he came out bleeding. He might have won, but some of those he might have came out half alive, and he had to recuperate and then get back to his original duties. It doesn't tell you that part, but we know that if you're fighting a wild animal, you're not gonna come out unscathed. You're not gonna come out unscathed. So I'm looking at the times, like when people talk about, oh, I fell and I'm not perfect, and they're saying it in a way that implies that it's something wrong with that. Like, if you were perfect, what you need God for? If you were perfect, you would have arrived, and he might as well take you on home because you're done.
Yeah.
You know.
You got to take joy in like my battles. They're making me.
Yeah.
Right. My battles is shifting. It's like a wrench shifting how I operate, and I gotta embrace like all of this, all of this stuff, all of these trials, and you have to keep account. One of the things about accounting is tracing every dime that you have either gave away, you made, you lost, you can't find, because at the end, it gives you accountability. Remember, accountant's job is to keep the business accountable. How do you get accountability? Is traceability. If you can trace your steps, because some people don't know how much they've grown because they're too ashamed to see what they've been through.
Right.
It's just like a person that we can say, Nicole, you spoke well, man, but you said, I don't like hearing my voice back. And don't even know, just to be able to listen to what God. Sometimes we don't hear ourselves on how much growth has imparted in us. You know what I mean? And so just to hear your voice, this speak like, wow, I did grow. Wow, I didn't even know. Because sometimes when we minister, we don't even see how powerful it is on our side until we hear it. And so for David to after he fought the lion and bear and saved his sheep, he was able to recuperate. It had to take a amount of time, like you said, the scars. Because I know those lions and bear didn't go without a dirty fight.
Because they fighting to the death. Somebody gonna die.
And so sometimes we don't be able to patch our scars up properly.
Yeah.
And this is what happened. And this is what happened. I'm gonna leave it alone. What's happening now is that we got scarred, and what it wasn't taken care of properly. We let them heal deformed. We didn't put the right ointment on them so that we can testify about what's going on.
Yeah.
But some of our scars, we let them bubble up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if it's not properly taken care of, what kind of joy would it give you? Because then some people got scars and still feel the pain, because scars were not supposed to remind you of pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be a reflection of your victory.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, that's good. I like that. I'm gonna have to see. I'll be writing stuff down. I'll be talking. I gotta write that down. I like that because I was a tomboy growing up, and my mom's biggest concern was because I wore skirts all the time. But I was in between two boys, so I was outside playing football with them. I was crossing people over in the skirt playing basketball. So I was hopping fences, and my mom was like, "You gotta scratch your legs up. Your legs gonna look horrible when you get to be older." And this, that, and I'm just like, well, let me wear pants then. Like, you see how I am, let me wear pants. Because he was like, I give you shorts to put under your skirt. You got to be careful with your legs because later on in life, you're going to want your legs to look nice. And I'm like, got older and I started to like look at my legs one day and I was like, I got all these scars and all I can hear is my mom telling me later on, you're going to want your legs to look nice. And I'm just like, ain't nobody gonna see these legs. Ain't nobody gonna see these legs, but I see them. And I have to look at them every day. I gotta lotion them. I gotta make sure my skin is moisturized. And every time I go over one of them, I think about where I got it from. Oh, this came from this time and this time. And lately, it has not been like I have a scar on my knee from a domestic violence thing, and I almost died. And every time I touched the scar, I got so angry. I got so angry at the person. And to the point where I'm like, I wish I could find them. And, I want them to see me now, And like, but as lately, I touched the scar and I'm just like, I survived that. This thing, I was supposed to die. Like, you can see my bone. And I'm like, my knees hurt, but I survived it. And that's my thinking now. Like, I survived that because so many things was built to take me out, or so they thought. But God said, no, it's gonna build you, but it's not gonna take you out. And I'm just like, okay, all right. Now I'm seeing how it all worked for my good. But at that time, I'm like, I'm gonna die in this. I'm gonna die in this relationship. I'm gonna die with this heartbreak. I'm gonna die with this pain, And now that I look back and I see I survived it, and I seen that it was just me and him. There was nobody there when I was saying, Lord, just take this pain away, when I could literally like feel my heart breaking in my chest. There was nobody there, and I'm just like, okay, I survived that by myself. And now I have to go and face this world that's going to do it again. How do I live through that? Like, how do I walk into that knowing that there's a possibility that I'm going to get another scar? How do I walk in that confidence knowing that I might come out of this with teeth marks in me from somebody trying to maul me, from somebody like trying to, like basically like destroy my name and my character, and all I'm trying to do is love you and show you that you deserve to be loved. And like, how do I walk into something like that when there's a possibility that I may die in this?
Let me tell you something. I don't often get to have conversations about my testimony about me. I have been through so many things, and people don't even know, my mother and my father, they don't even know the things I've been through that I have held in. I have scars on me that reminds me that I've been there. But it makes me now say, God, thank you for rescuing me. Because at the moment that things were happening, I was trapped. I was locked in. And, and it was breaking me like there was no end. And Dorinda Clark wrote a song and it said, when I look back over my life and I think of all the things you have done for me, you know what I mean? And then it was things that was undeserving. Then I had to pit but my life was required to be in the in between. And in me, it's like, oh, this don't feel fair. How do I believe you, God, and still have to sacrifice me on this? This ain't even my plot. This ain't even my plot. But he had to keep me. he kept me through the wrong thing that I was going through.
Mm.
And then now that I'm older and now I'm preaching because they're like, what Bishop was, so why you do what you do? Because when sometimes my scar I still feel. I still gotta see it every day, you know? And it just reminds me, at the moment I felt like I was being suffocated, he gave me breath. You know what I'm saying? And every time I think about it, I feel, every
Mm-hmm.
time I go in it, he bring me out. Because that's what was, and this is what is.
Mm.
And so we have to understand that. One of my biggest fears was, let me tell you something, to come out, be delivered, and walk in front of the people that abuse you.
Mm.
Lord, would I submit to them because that's what I was used to doing? Even though I grown, even though I came out of stuff, sometimes we don't break the pattern that we had with the abuser.
Mm.
And that's the fear, like, if something else comes, what's going to happen to me?
Mm.
Because in me, I feel delivered from it because the abusers were absent. Sometimes we are not delivered in the presence of the one that was designated to do us wrong. But if that thing returns, will I submit back to it? Because I don't care how big you are, how grown you are, the mind got a way to play with you if you are not in control. And so I remember I have ran into some people that did me wrong, and that was the biggest test of my life. I'm like, oh my God, what? God, I'm this dude now. I'm crazy now, so nobody gonna mess with me. But then my came back to me like, wait, did I mentally be delivered when my physical part was resolved?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when God showed me that I was free, I was telling my wife, and I explained in the church. It was one night I was gone, laying in the bed. I said, babe, this is the first time I ever felt safe.
Wow.
Because I
That's a
was
statement.
challenged by the ones.
That's a statement. Whew.
Yeah.
That's really something to think about because we do get delivered and we do come out of things, and when we're faced with it again, it's a different type of fear though. It's not. I face that like with Stuart and my parents. That's what I call it. I call it Stuart and my parents
Yeah.
because you want to stay respectful, but
Uh-huh.
you want to create boundaries.
Yeah, you do.
Because there are things, and I heard something that was real good, and I'm like, I'm walking in that now. I can't break what I won't confront. So I had to confront some things in my parents in order to break it with me, you know. So like walking in that, those silent battles are a whole different ball game because they're your parents, you know. It's not you about to tell your parents off and tell them what they did wrong and they just gonna accept it because that's how they was raised and that's how they raised you. But I called it stewarding them because the Lord showed me how to speak to them in a way where they understood that what they did worked, but it wasn't healthy for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it worked for my brothers, and it wasn't healthy for them because it kept us on the path. But now we have to deal with the trauma of your trauma that kept us safe.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you confront something that kept you safe, you know, but wasn't good for you,
Yep.
you know? So I had to like go into a conversation about that. And I'm just like, Lord, especially when it came to my dad, because I love my dad, but he'd be so rough with his talk. He's very like, he just gonna say it. He don't have a sugar coat in his body. So, and I'm just like, how I'm gonna deal with him because I've always been able to like kind of talk to my mom, but when it came to my dad, I was like, ugh. But it was like when I went in to talk to him, it was like this fear rose up, and I'm like, why am I so afraid to have this conversation? I forgave him for what he did. I've come to terms with what he did was for my good, but now I have to have this conversation about how it hurt me. and I'm terrified.
Yeah.
So I go in and I'm shaking and I'm like, Dad, I want to talk to you about something. And he's like, yeah, baby, you know, he all calm. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm paying for your sins. And the same thing you doing is the same thing I'm living in. I start to pour out and I notice that my words aren't even my words. And I'm just like, when they say that God will fight for you, it does not mean that he's not going to use you to fight for you. He will fight for you and use you to do it. And I'm just sitting here like, Lord,
That's the thing.
I came up out of that thing like, I'm sorry if I seem disrespectful. He was like, no, I needed that. I was like, oh, thank you, God.
Yeah.
Like,
It's amazing because it's the thing of forgiveness. And I like how you said steward your family, literally teaching them how to help you heal, and also helping them to recognize they may have been doing something that, like you said, they've been doing for years, and it just traveled down to you. You know, and like you said, what works for one didn't work for the other. But if we don't learn how to steward, we'll resent them.
yes.
I know one of the things about pastoring, a lot of people resent their parents versus trying to steward their parents to find freedom. You can't be mad at it so long
Yeah.
because and there's some things that cannot be explained. But can you manage it for you to heal? Yeah. That's why he said you will be the lender and not the borrower. You know what I'm saying? You got to lend the support of development so that you won't have to borrow, but they'll ask for a loan. Can I loan some of your peace? This is how you get it. You know what I mean? There's some things that we have to learn to do. And one of the things I'm just trying to promote, and no disrespect to anyone that does this, but we kind of stop making these a conference and make this a natural conversation.
Yeah.
People need natural conversations about these. They need simple input
Yeah.
so that they can be able. You hold the keys to your freedom. You hold the keys. But let me tell you how to apply the things that we're speaking about, because then the application is the problem. How do I introduce myself to my mother or my father or those who I need to talk to for me to get some closure on where I got? Because a lot of people need closure, but there's a way to get it. If you go in with that same energy that did hurt you, you're gonna leave out with that same disappointment, with that same energy that you was trying to input to force an answer, because you can't force somebody to do anything. But with love and kindness, you can draw them to something else.
That's see, it all fit together because it made me think about the shepherd he left when he went to fight. The shepherd that seen him come back. Because that shepherd probably seen him go out there and didn't think he was coming back. Like, this man a fool. And he come back with this half dead sheep. He half dead.
Yeah.
You know, he called us for help. Come
help me, but I did it. Come help me, but I.
Like, you know, and it's just like, who watched me fight? Who watched me heal? Who watched me forgive? And that's what gave them their confidence to go into their private battles.
Let me say this, because you started, so we might have to have another episode. But let me say this: in my years of leading people and doing the same day as the shepherd did, going out there in the fight, my shepherd, my co-shepherd, my wife, I said, tend to them while I'm going to get there, right? And coming back scarred up, hurt, and everything. But yeah, I kept that posture. I had to remember when she starts seeing my scars, it may get her mad. It may want her to retaliate. I had to learn how to build her heart to the place that she won't become destructive to someone else because of what they did to me. Because she's my protector and she's a shepherd. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so sometimes we forget that when we are around other leaders, we gotta be mindful of when we say what we experience from other members.
Yeah.
Because it was our duty. It's our duty. So regardless of where they are, if God assigned us to them to us, we gotta help them fight. Right, wrong, or indifferent until we can shift how they move. But sometimes we become the casualty of scars, battles. Come on, all that stuff. But we got to make sure that those who co-lead with us, that we're mindful of how we express the experience. What was important with David is how he expressed the experience. I've been through something with a lion and bear. There's no comparison.
And God delivered me from out of there. that's the part. And I was just like, oh, God delivered me from out of their hands. And I can understand because he came out there and the first thing he like, y'all letting this uncircumcised Philistine talk about God like that, and y'all just standing here. It was like the audacity, and y'all just standing here. How could y'all fear him? Y'all know who with y'all. Like y'all let him talk about God like that. And that sat with me, and I'm just like, oh my God. You had these people trained for this. They trained their whole lives. They were soldiers. They were warriors. They was built on hand-to-hand combat. They were built to size a person up and see where their weak points may be. And here you had somebody come along that knew nothing about anything but how to hold armor and how to clean it and how to take care of it so it doesn't rust. Come out and don't even need the very thing that they thought he was going to need to do what he had to do.
See, some people are trained to defend their nation, their group, their people. But when you're trained to defend God, because what God hates, I hate. What God loves, I love.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the voice of Goliath. He was not only disrespecting the king, but he was disrespecting the Most High God.
Mm-hmm.
And that would offend David. It wasn't about no Saul. Forget Saul. You gonna tell my God who this God you have and who that is the king of the universe. Who you gonna call on now? Like, wait a minute. Now you triggered me now. Because then when I look back over my life and think things over, like, wait a minute. What he brought me through, and nobody gonna say. It's like it being your mom. If I ain't talking about my mom, ain't nobody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in the day, like you talk about somebody's mama, it was over.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get that same confidence when God has brought us through stuff. We got to defend him because this enemy only comes to say God can't. When even though it's proven that he can. And this is the problem with us these days. We have become so desensitized. Every time God brought us through, we forget.
Mm-hmm.
And now when God needs to be defended, we got nothing to say. Do he got to fight for himself, or can he use you to fight for him?
Right. Oh, that's good. I had something I wanted to ask you because I wanted to know what you thought about it.
Okay.
So it says when he told him what he was gonna do, he told him, "I'm gonna cut your head off," and he did that. It says he cut his head off.
Mm-hmm.
Then he took his armor and put it in his tent, and then he took the head to Saul. Where he get a tent from? I said he was supposed to be bringing lunch. But it says that he left his horse with the person that take care of the horses. So they must have pitched a tent because that was a nice travel from where David's fatherland was to where the battlefield was.
Yes.
So they were going to stay overnight, right? So I said, oh, okay. He took Goliath's armor and put it in his tent.
Yeah.
Goliath's armor had to be huge compared to David. But if he was able to carry the head and the armor, like how he was fit for this. He was made for it, even though he wasn't trained for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, how much of what God wants me to do that I'm made for that he just hasn't trained me for yet? Or he has trained me for.
We just need to
it just doesn't look like the same training that everybody else is getting.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If we can value how God, that's why the church shouldn't be duplicates of everybody. Because God's experience for all of us is different. Remember Abraham said, oh God, I think I'm the only one. And then he said to him, you? No, I have sheep that is not of this fold. Because how I'm giving to you doesn't mean that I'm giving to them the same way.
Right.
And we have to be open-minded. There are other people that are learning God. The only thing that's the same is the spirit in which how he operates.
Mm-hmm.
So, but remember also, Jesse's sons was already there. And they had a tent too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They got to look out for their young brother because Jesse will be something hot. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Here's another thing. One of the things of David taking off the armor first before the neck is because the armor proves that, no matter what's shielding you, it can't defy who God is.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. The neck is the proof. Here you go. The neck was for him. The neck was for King Saul.
Right.
Let this be your trophy, but let the armor be mine. You know what I mean? Because guess what? It was the battle is in the armor, not the neck. You need to show something off.
You need that. You needed his head.
Imagine how many giants if you can conquer them, how many other those who were supporting the giant will bow down to you.
Because they all scattered.
They scattered.
Like if you got one man that could beat Goliath, yeah, the rest of y'all, we don't want no sauce with the rest of y'all. Like this one man be our champion. He be our champion with a stone. He didn't even use a sword or anything. And here y'all come running to us with swords. Oh, y'all have master warriors with y'all.
Yeah, master warriors.
Like, and that's my idea. Like, when the devil see me coming, the people that's coming with me, we master warriors because of how I go out first. Like, if I go out first and the people with me don't seem like threats because of how I acted, then something is wrong. Because if I don't come out and you don't see me as a threat, then you're gonna see the people that's rolling with me as a threat. Right. And that's why it's important, like with a church, for it to have that type of unity. Because if one person don't seem like a threat, that spirit will look for those weak parts and know that it can move, because it ain't only always one. Yeah. If it's one, it's another one.
That's why you gotta teach the church self-defense.
Oh, I like that.
You gotta teach everyone. I love those defense coaches that show you how to deal with your body structure, your mind structure, your heart structure, how to defend you. Because if not, the enemy does come. But remember, the enemy is sizing you up to see how you work and how you move, and to see if you can conquer things. But if we all try to have the same information and think it's a one size fit all,
yeah,
we're gonna mess up. We're gonna have more losing battles than winning battles.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm so big on people going through their process. Like, I tell Manny all the time, like, I can tell you what I went through, but it doesn't matter, because you're gonna have your own process. I want you to take my experiences and pick it apart, see what you can use, and put the rest to the side. If you gotta ask questions, but you got your own process. Don't try and live your dad's life. Don't try and live my life. Don't try and follow in my footsteps. Don't do what you think that I want you to do, because what I want you to do is whatever God wants you to do. Because back then I would have said, no, I need you to be this, do this, meet this expectation. Now and I'm just like, I want whatever God wants for you.
You know, one of the things that I'm thinking about writing a book, I think. And so it is important to me is to break down the process, because I think a lot of stuff has been thrown to us, and by God's grace we got it. But everybody's not like that. Yeah. There are stages of different process: deliverance, transformation, reunification. You know what I mean? There is a process when we are getting back to humanity, because some people we treat ourselves like we don't know nothing. But we don't. We need information. Because the Bible says, my people are destroyed due to the lack of knowledge. Yeah. Some people don't know. And if we don't show them and teach them, still have a generation of people lost in the church saying amen, saying hallelujah, and hoping something change, but they don't know the steps. God don't always got to come. Yeah. Jesus said, when I leave here, you will do greater works. So with all that impartation and power, we just sitting on it with no information. Yeah. Look at what's this, King Josiah. When they found the script and he said, read it. And he was a good king. But then he wasn't doing it according to the script. Right. He was mourning, like, oh! If we could get the information.
That's one of my favorite kings.
Oh, that guy.
I love King Josiah. Him and Jehoshaphat. I love them too. But Bishop, this was the topic I chose for you. But I had so many other ones, and I'm like, I don't know if you're gonna want to do something else.
I was looking at them down.
said, Erica, I'm gonna send all three. I'm gonna see what he chooses. And when you came back with the one I chose, I was like, he chose it.
Mm-hmm.
He chose. I said, I don't know why this resonated with me, but now I see, because I looked at some of my personal battles like they didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, me surviving this relationship, or me surviving, this cancer scare, because I didn't actually have cancer, it's not as significant as somebody who actually lived through it. Like I downplayed what God did for me. I had a cancer scare, and that thing came back. They said they seen cancer cells. And when they came back and tested it again, it was gone. So I downplayed it because, I didn't have cancer. He didn't deliver me from cancer because it wasn't there in the first place. But I'm like, no, now I look back and I'm like, he saved me from cancer. I didn't even have to. And I'm like, I downplayed so much of what God did for me because it didn't seem as significant as other people's battles. Like I'm hearing their stories like, oh, the Lord saved them from so much. And then I look at my life and I'm like, oh, it's small and unimportant compared to theirs. And I'm looking at me living, I'm looking at me growing, I'm looking at these same people that I am basically coveting. And they're looking at me like, oh, you're so strong, and this, that, and the third. And I'm looking at them like, look, you survived. And they looking at me like, you survived. And I'm like, oh my God, I survived, And it's just like, okay, now I survived. Now how do I live? Because now I'm stuck in that phase of just surviving. Like I just have to make sure I live through this. I just got to make sure I live through this thing. And that's what it was for so long. And now I'm switching from, I just got to make sure I live through this, to I just got to make sure that I live. I'm living for God. I'm doing what he would want me to do, because now I know that whatever I face isn't bigger than God, that he's able to do whatever. And if he by chance does not deliver me from it, he's still going to get the glory in it. So I just got to continue to live, because there are things that I should have died in. There are things that I should have unraveled in. I should have been strung out, like on drugs. And I'm like, just looking at all that he saved me from. And I'm just like, how do you look at a blessing from God? Because it seems small and minute to you, and say, this doesn't matter. This battle doesn't matter. And it's a part of your process. Like you can't dislike any part. I learned that from you. You can't, despise the small things. That's what you always was telling me. And I didn't understand it when you were saying it at first. But now I'm seeing, like, even the smallest parts matter. They're big. They're big parts. Because imagine the first time he ran out and was able to get that lamb away from that lion and walk away and run from the lion. He didn't even have to fight it. That was a small victory for him. He didn't think nothing of it. But imagine the next time he faced that lion and had to fight it. It was so big for him. But he didn't think about the victory where he didn't even have to fight for it.
See?
You know?
Yeah. It's a part of the man's development.